Andromache of Scythia. Andy, Booker, Joe, and Nicky are all centuries-old warriors. They are almost immortal, living for a very long time because they have unexplained regenerative healing abilities and use their vast experience to work as mercenaries, and they take missions that help people. As we proceed, keep enjoying more movie recaps and not miss out by hitting the subscribe button and turn on the notifications. The name of this movie is The Old Guard. The movie begins with a scene showing Andy walking down the street to meet with Booker as they will be joining the rest to discuss a new deal. They finally meet in a hotel after a long one-year break from handling mission and they discuss their present new deal. The group have a rule of never working for the same employer twice. But they set out to meet this employer named Copley offering them this deal, and this deal came in through Booker. Former CIA operative Copley present to them a rescue mission of kidnapped girls in South Sudan. Breaking their rule of never working for the same employer twice, they accept the job from Copley but on their own terms. The team set out to take this mission in Sudan. As they approach the site, they take out all the guard. They burst through the door to get inside. The team went inside and found it empty. They never knew it was all along a setup. Gunmen from hiding places opens fire and shoot rapidly at the four of them until none was standing. Lifeless on the ground, they began to regenerate and healed back rapidly. Before the gunmen could reload their guns, they were attacked and killed by this special immortals. There was never any girls for them to save, it was all a setup by Copley to remotely film their regeneration, having strong evidence on the fact that they could regenerate and heal rapidly. As the team buried their uniforms, they agree to stay low and find Copley even at all cost. Meanwhile, in a mission at a battlefield in Afghanistan, U.S. Marine Niall Freeman is sent to get information in a building from a group of women about a military target. They went in and questioned these women if any one of them may have seen this target. After secretly getting to know where this target is, they burst into the room for a house search and suddenly, Niall shot the target. Niall is trying to give him some medic as he is required alive, but the man pulls Niall's knife and slit her throat hard. On a moving train the immortals get a dream, like some vision of Niall as she regenerate and healed from her injury without even a scratch, and they are now alerted to her existence, a new member. The group experiences dreams of any new immortals until the new immortal is found. Likewise Niall also shared in the same dream. Andy leaves the train to track a confused Niall to extract her from Afghanistan. On camping ground Niall began to experience stigmatization from her other colleges. Now we see Copley showing the video of the ambush to pharmaceutical executive Stephen Merrick, who sends operatives to capture the team, but Copley tells him that it's impossible as they are some extraordinary beings, immortals. Next we see a scene of Andy taking down some soldiers that were instructing Niall to go for a new test. Andy knocks down Niall too to bring her along to a safe house in France. Niall meets the rest of their team in France. The group shares some of their past and reveal that they are not truly immortal. Their ability to heal eventually stops, without warning, which happened to a previous immortal, such as Lycon. Niall wakes up from a bad dream alerting the rest that were asleep. The dream was about the first immortal Gwyn, the first of Andy's comrades, who was captured, accused of witchcraft, and became lost to them because she was cast somewhere into the sea in an Iron Maiden, and has been continually drowning ever since to that very day. After the story was told to Niall, Andy and Niall goes outside to take some air, but in their conversation and argument, Merrick's forces are trying to ambush the team in the building, and finally Andy and Niall got alerted by strange sounds. As Andy goes into the building, Joe and Nicky are already captured while a seemingly deceased Booker is left behind. His stomach has been blown brutally exposed. As Merrick's forces comes back to get Andy and Booker, Andy fights them all, and during this moment, Booker regenerates in the process. Andy kills all of their assailants, and after that, the three of them leaves the premises in a car. Joe and Nicky are now in captivity of Merrick. Merrick in his chat with Nicky and Joe get knocked on the face, and retaliating Merrick uses a knife and stabs Joe rapidly to vividly confirm their immortality. Finally, both of them are taken away. Booker, Andy and Niall are now seen in a cave, another hiding place, preparing to travel to rescue Joe and Nicky. But Andy realizes she has an injury on the shoulder and no longer regenerate or heal. She leaves to get some first aid from the store, and the attendant offered to help her by treating Andy's wound. Finally, Booker locates Copley. They arrive in a car to London. But Niall developed a second thought to visit her family. Niall takes the car and separates from the group to reunite with her family. Niall stopped the car to reload her gun, but realized in that moment that Andy's gun was empty and has been manipulated. Andy and Booker confront Copley to take him down and also rescue the others, only for Booker to betray Andy and shoot her, arguing that Merrick might find a way to end the immortality they have both grown weary of. In their argument, Booker realized that Andy is still bleeding and he couldn't help the situation. Both of them are put out. Copley, having regret, began to argue with Merrick, telling him of how this wasn't right, but he is also knocked out. Andy and Booker are brought into the lab for some test and experiment together with the others, Joe and Nicky. Now Nile, having realized Booker sold out the group, arrives too late to intervene, but she resisted and Copley begins to educate her on the successful missions Andy has completed in the past and how it made impact to humanity. Then Nile convinces Copley to assist her on a rescue mission of the four of them. Both of them storms Merrick's London office. Copley then update Nile on the security situation, how many they were as Nile gather up her weapon. Then Nile approached two security guards, knowing fully well she could regenerate. She gets shot at. But that was a setup for the guards, as she shot them back quickly. Moving further, she finds Merrick and immediately more men shoot at her, but she runs away to find the others. Finally, she got to them. Nile set them free and equipped her team with weapons she brought with her. The group then storm out to find Merrick and stop him, fighting their way out through the rest of Merrick's security. Because if they didn't, Merrick will never stop coming after them. We now see Andy alone fighting one of Merrick's men on the bridge and succeeds. The rest joined her and they extracted from him Merrick's current location. Now they approach where Merrick is and Merrick's guard became alerted. But as Merrick's men await the attack, Joe jumps in from a window and set loose his gun on them. They killed them and Joe also killed Merrick's head of security. They saw the elevator going down, and the rest of the team goes it, leaving just Andy and Nile together. As Andy and Nile were conversing, Merrick showed out of the blue with the axe in his hand and a gun pointed at Andy. But as a diversion, Nile faked shooting Andy, resulting to distracting Merrick to shoot at Nile, and then Andy takes the axe and struck Merrick on the shoulder. Merrick attempted to shoot Andy but got saved by Nile grabbing Merrick and jumping out of a window. Both of them landed on a car, killing him. All the others extracted, regenerating Nile from the incident, and left the scene with a car they found. As punishment for Booker's betrayal, the group sentenced Booker to loneliness, forbidding Booker from contacting them for 100 years. The rest of the group meets with Copley, who explains how his research revealed their past missions had a greater effect than they ever knew, with the descendants of people they had rescued going on to help the world in many different ways. With renewed faith in their existence, the group tasks Copley with maintaining their secret and finding missions where they can have an effect. 6 months later in Paris, a depressed and drunken Booker, realizing someone was in his apartment. He went in and to his astonishment found Gwyn in his apartment. Remember, make sure you're subscribed and turn on your notifications so you can watch more videos like this. Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and keep the movie buzz going. Lights. Camera. Recap.